9 o'clock a.m. These are what we're getting. Again, these are the support cards. We have a completely silent filter. That stairs. Oh my god. So we're getting Freljord card here. This might just be a random bundle of cards. We got She Who Wanders, They Who Endure, and now it's That Stairs. Well, not grammatically incorrect. Maybe it is. It just, at the very least, it just sounds fucking weird. Which stairs? Yeah, isn't it supposed to be which stairs? There's something just like wrong with this, with the fucking words here. 8 mana, 8/8, obliterate all landmarks for deal 2 to all other units. The effect is terrible. Kuvira? Hello? The effect is terrible? You're underestimating the triple hex core foundry decks. Dummy. Didn't you hear Grappler? What do you mean That Stairs is terrible? Yeah, don't run this card. The Scar Grounds. Here we go. 3 mana. When an ally survives damage, grant it 1 attack and tough. Ooh. You know what? That is at least really funny. So this is permanent buff, of course. So in that archetype, in like Freljord Noxus, this will literally grant your entire board tough. Think of this. It's 3 mana, which, you know, is a little bit expensive at that point of the game, but it's like a permanent Ranger's Resolve that is also giving plus attack to your units. That is really, really funny. It's still like, at the end of the day, I suspect this is not like the missing piece that will make that deck like tier 2 overnight. But this, I will certainly try this out, and hang on, we'll see if there's any more, because this actually makes them closer. Monastery of Hirana, 3 mana landmark, round start, create a sanctuary in hand. Let's go ahead and see what a sanctuary is. And a sanctuary, so every turn at burst speed without, you know, response, I guess we'll have to make a term for this, non-response speed, it can recall an ally for 1 mana. So, and it's just a 3 mana landmark. That one's weird. That's gotta be harder to use. Ionia is a really weird region right now. Ionia right now is mostly just run because of Deny and maybe like Nopify. Lee Sin is the closest we have to like a viable Ionia, like well-rounded archetype. Yeah, Ionia doesn't really have a coherent theme at the moment. There's not really anything in Ionia that makes you want to like recall a lot. Shen, yeah, Shen. Sure, but that's just like, I mean to say, like, in that Demacia deck, you're still just running it because of, you know, Deny. But yeah, Shen is also ran. So the closest Ionia has to a theme right now is Barriers, which, you know, of course, that recall card doesn't really support. Homecoming, hilarious picture. 5 mana, Ionia spell. Recall an ally or landmark to recall an enemy unit or landmark. So it's like a Will of Ionia that... Oh, geez, this is terrible. What is with these Ionia cards, guys? Like, so obviously, there might be a synergy, there might be big recall synergy cards that we haven't seen yet, but... Man, these Ionia... So Ionia is already the worst region. Again, it is run sometimes because of Deny, but like everything about the region is like weird and incoherent right now. And honestly, historically, the biggest thing that made sense about Ionia was elusive decks. And I can tell you right now, elusive decks are very far from making sense. Even if elusives like get a little bit better, they don't have that going for them. So something feels very off about Ionia, and they're getting these like really, really slow and ineffective recall cards. Like, this is really expensive. Keep in mind, this to clause, this word to instead of and, means if you put this on the stack and they stop this first half from going off by killing your unit with like a single combat or something, then this second half doesn't go off either, right? That's like really bad. Like, that's crazy. Wiggly Bubblefish. Bilgewater card. 6 mana 3/1. My ideal stat line. Reduce my cost by 1 for each spell you've cast this game. When I'm summoned, create a 1-cost spell from your regions in hand. So this is like a Fizz support card, basically. Go hard, maybe. Dude, oh god, you could run this in the Go Hard TF deck and it has a chance of creating Go Hard. That's so funny. Oh god. So you need to cast 6 spells. Once you've cast 6 spells, it becomes a 0 mana 3/1 that gives you a 1-cost spell from your regions. But it's a 0 mana 3/1 that you can't play very early at all. This one's actually kind of hard to evaluate. This could actually be fairly decent. It's like a baby Plaza Guardian. I can tell you this looks a lot better to me than Plaza Guardian. This looks a lot better to me than Plaza Guardian. I think this could actually be somewhat decent. You'd need to play a lot of spells in the deck. I think it is more likely you would run this in like a Fizz deck than a Go Hard deck, but this one actually has a bit of potential. One thing I will say about elusives right now is, like I said, elusives feel fairly far from actually, you know, making sense as a deck. Like, what I mean by that is, you know, we've seen them be good in the past, but now there's Hush, there is Sharp Sight, there's a lot of just Zap Spray Fins running around that can just block elusives. And now they added Iterative Improvement, which also counters elusives naturally. Not just like as a hard counter to elusive, but as cards that are already kind of auto-include in their respective decks. There's so much out there that's sort of blocking elusives from being great offensive tools that, you know, this card feels like that's part of its kit. So it does have potential for sure, but elusives feel pretty bad right now. Boom Ship. 3 mana Bilgewater Slow. Deal 1 to a unit, then summon powder kegs equal to the amount of damage dealt. So, obviously, you know, you can increase this amount of damage with powder kegs themselves or Funsmith. Is there any way to increase this damage outside of kegs and Funsmith? Undying keg buff. Oh, Dreadway. Yeah, Dreadway. True. Siren. No, because this is slow speed, so it technically doesn't work with Siren. That's pretty funny. So, I mean, this is a meme card. I guess this is... It feels like it's technically a... I mean... Is this just an unyielding keg support deck card? Like, would you run this card? So, unyielding keg still works as a deck, right? So, for those of you guys who don't know, you can combine kegs with Demacia and make make an unyielding spirit keg deck where you have, like, you know, 3 kegs. You make them immortal with unyielding spirit. And then, you know, it's basically like a Funsmith that never dies, and that's +3 instead of +1. And then as you add more and more kegs to it, it gets bigger and bigger, and it never dies. Even when you use the kegs, they don't die. So you can have like 8 kegs, and they're all immortal, because when one of them is immortal, the entire stack becomes immortal. And then you can use Boom Ship, and it deals 8, and then it'll double your powder kegs, and you'll have 16 powder kegs. And then they'll be dead. And, I mean, that's really funny. Like, it's hilarious, right? You could definitely use it in that deck. It would be 17 kegs? Alright. Math nerds in chat are informing me it would indeed be 17 kegs. You guys are right. You guys correctly... It's deal 9. It would go to 17. You got me. So obviously this card is terrible. This is like... Jesus, this card's bad. What the hell? But I guess it's really funny in that concept. If this could hit face, it would be worth it. If this could hit face, I mean, it'd still be terrible, but it'd be funnier. I don't know. This is really trolly. Okay, so to just kind of like go back and sort of like recap a little bit. That stairs for 8 mana, 8/8. I don't think it's really gonna be what you want. This is a play effect, not a summon effect. So it doesn't really work that, you know, obviously this wouldn't trigger off of something like War Mother's Call pulling it out. At the end of the day, it's not like the furthest thing from seeing play in like a Shadow Isles Freljord control deck. Like deal 2 to all other units is like actually kind of okay, but it's probably just a little bit too slow. Then we've got Scargrounds, which is, I think, so here's the problem with Scargrounds. It feels like Vlad needs more help than this. You know, not just Vlad as a card. It's not even about Vlad as a card. When I say that, I mean like the entire archetype, which is to say, like, the Scars archetype. Freljord plus Vlad, right? And some of the Noxus tools that you're supposed to use there. Vlad decks need a lot more help. It does feel like it. So, like, I will say, this does make that deck, I think, better. And it could make it a lot better than we think. Like, this card is actually a little scary, but for 3 minutes, still, you know, a tiny bit slow. Like, the fact that you have to use this proactively at slow speed means, you know, you're gonna slow down your unit development. Because, like, keep in mind, if this was like a spell, this would have a very different impact on the play patterns, right? Like, we have to see this card as something that slows down your development, which it synergizes with, right? So, like, something like Ranger's Resolve, you keep playing this card, you keep playing your units, and then when the resolve is necessary, you press it, and it doesn't slow down anything, right? With this card, you have the ability to, you know, it slows your plays down because it costs you the entire unit play proactively. And that the fact that it costs 3 mana early as opposed to 3 mana a little bit later does slow it down. It does have really good synergy with Braum, though. Like, Braum can definitely get a little bit scarier with this. Braum, the thing about Braum, though, is it never really needed tough. And, like, at the point where you're committing 7 mana just to start giving your Braum a bit of attack, I don't know if that's enough for a lot of decks to be able to carry the game. But I will say, this is probably the strongest or highest potential card that we've seen from these ones. 100%. Maybe it is Verskar with Braum. It's definitely the strongest card here. Then we've got Monastery of Harana, which, I don't know. This one's just a troll card, I guess. And then we've got Homecoming, which is, like, what? What do they have against Ionia? Like, what? This is Crumble of Ionia? Yeah, it's Crumble of Ionia. Oh, God. I don't know, man. Ionia's getting shafted. like so dumpstered. What is happening with Ionia? Wiggly Bubblefish has some potential. It's a pretty cute card. It's, I think, better than Plaza Guardian. I think we would need to see a deck for this to be able to work with. We don't really have a Bilgewater deck that wants to run that many spells that proactively. Like, obviously, TF Gohard runs a decent amount of spells, but it's actually a pretty unit-based deck. This would have to be, like, for a Fizz deck, basically. And right now, Fizz decks aren't very close. But it's pretty cute. And then, of course, we've got the trash boom ship. And, yeah, it's just a raw meme card. Anyway, that's it. That's my initial impressions.